Hello everyone, welcome to Mitra's IAS and myself Ramesh Kapoor, and we are going to continue with our PT Crash Course 2022. Till now we have covered 40 topics and today we are going to cover the next 10, 41 to 50. So without wasting any time, let's continue with our respective topics. So the first topic for today is green hydrogen. Green hydrogen has been really in news consistently, in our energy policy. Whenever Prime Minister is traveling, treaties they are signing with the Nordic countries, you would have heard about clean energy. India's, future energy plans has green energy in one of the major highlights. Hence, green hydrogen becomes extremely important for this year prelims. What is green hydrogen? Green hydrogen is the name given to hydrogen gas that has been produced using renewable energy such as wind or solar power, right? And which creates no greenhouse gas emissions. Hydrogen gas can be used as fuel in transportation, power generation, and industrial. As this, right? Hydrogen is a very important fuel. It does not release greenhouse gas emissions such as CO2 when it is burned. In a fuel cell, a device that converts energy into of a chemical into electricity, hydrogen gas reacts with oxygen to produce electricity and water vapor. Because of hydrogen's capacity to generate energy without releasing greenhouse gas emissions, it is a potential clean alternative to fossil fuels. That is why, government is promoting that. So hydrogen is most abundant chemical element in the universe, but does not naturally exist as a gas in usable quantities, occurring in almost entirely in compounds such as water. Therefore, hydrogen must be produced using industrial methods. Most of these involve reforming of natural gas, a fossil fuel. Other methods exist, including a process of electrolysis, whereby electric current is used to split water into basic components, hydrogen and oxygen. Now, our main focus today is on green hydrogen, and for that, as discussed, what is that? Where solar or wind energy, which are the renewables, is used to convert water using electrolyzer into hydrogen and oxygen. Split. Then hydrogen can be stored and can be used as a energy source. But there is something called gray hydrogen also. So when we are learning about green hydrogen, it is imperative for us to know what is blue, gray. These are really important. Also, we'll know about pink and yellow hydrogen as well. So gray hydrogen, as we can see here, while hydrogen gas does not emit greenhouse gases when burned, electricity used to produce it, whether via electrolysis or any other process, may have been generated by fossil fuels. So the hydrogen produced by using fossil fuels, and which eventually results in release of CO2 into the air. So this kind of hydrogen, which is produced using fossil fuels, which is a byproduct of CO2, that hydrogen is known as gray hydrogen, right? Hence, this becomes also important. Let's talk about what is blue hydrogen. Hydrogen produced using electricity generated by burning fossil fuels such as coal and gas, but paired with carbon capture and storage technologies. This is very important here. Blue hydrogen is hydrogen produced using electricity. Again, it is same as gray hydrogen, but the carbon released is actually captured. So carbon capture and storage technology is used to trap the carbon emissions released in the process and prevent them from entering the atmosphere. And this is labeled as blue hydrogen, right? So this is, the important one. So other than this, pink hydrogen is also there. It is in this hydrogen which is produced using electrolysis with nuclear energy as the source is pink hydrogen, nuclear. And yellow hydrogen, same electrolysis with solar energy, only solar. Whereas green is both solar, wind, renewable, right? So this is all about, and this is where UPSC might ask you, different types of hydrogen and how they are produced and what are the differences. Second topic, India State of Forest Report 2021. Again, a very important topic. It's a biennial report released by Forest Survey of India, an organization under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. It is 17th report. 17th report by, this is, you should know. Report is based upon survey of 3 types of forest. So how many types of forest? 3. Very dense, having canopy more than 70%, moderately dense, having canopy density between 40 and 70%, and open forest, having canopy density between 10 and 40%. Where canopy density is less than 10%, the region is categorized as scrubs instead of forests, yet the area is still surveyed, right? See the report and the survey for the first time. Now, what is unique this time? Unique, the report and survey first time ever included Gir forest, which is the only habitat of Asiatic lions. Very important. Gir forest is the only habitat of Asiatic lions. It also actually surveyed tiger reserves and tiger corridors. Of the 32 tiger reserves, forest cover has shown a decadal increase in 20 of them, while rest of 10 has shown decreased forest cover. See, forest cover in tiger corridors has increased slightly, but in case of tiger reserves, a slight decrease in forest cover is registered. Now, what is the total forest? Now, this is very important. Total forest cover in India has increased by 0.4% as per this report. This is a biennial report. So the last report was India State of Forest Report 2019. As compared to 2019 report, the forest cover in India has increased by 0.4. So actually this is written 0.4, it is 0.04. So from 21.67 to 21.71, indicating a continued gain in greenery in India. Tree cover in India is recorded to have grown by 721 square kilometers. Following 3 states, now this is again very important, which are the 3 states which are best performers in increasing. Telangana, this is increase of 3.07%. This we can see here, right? That positive greater than 3. Andhra Pradesh, 2.22. Yes, we can also see that Andhra Pradesh. Odisha, 1.04. So these are the positive increase. Area-wise states with highest forest cover. Area, Madhya Pradesh continues to have highest area under forest. So area under forest, not the percentage. So area, overall area, Madhya Pradesh. Whereas percentage-wise of area, Mizoram leads the category. So Mizoram has the highest forest cover area in terms of percentage of forest cover and is preceded by other states as Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Manipur and Nagaland. These are the northeastern states. Mangrove forests in India have shown an overall increase of 17 square kilometers. Bamboo forests in India have also registered a growth of approximately 26% from 19 to 21. And area under very dense forest has shown an increase of approximately 500, which is a good sign. Area under very dense forest has shown an increase of. So this is the highlights of this report. I also want you to look at this graph and this diagram, and it will clearly show you which are the positive change. So here, positive change, most of the areas you can see except the red ones, blue, and right, these two. So when you see it is entire northeast from West Bengal, Meghalaya, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya, right? These plus, and also Sikkim, plus you also see Punjab. So these have negative. So the forests have been decreased here as per the last ISFR report. Whereas rest of the country, you'll see the positive change. So now the third topic, very important again, COP26 is Conference of Parties, 26th Conference of Parties under UNFCCC, which happened at Glasgow. These are the basic information. Here you should be well aware what is UNFCCC, Glasgow, COP26. Now it is a very vast topic in itself. I would recommend you to read it in detail, but I am just concentrating on the 5 terms which came up, very important, which are in itself, you can read it in detail, that came up at the climate change conference in Glasgow. The first one is net zero. So net zero emissions. It is the amount of greenhouse gases released. So see, what net zero means is the countries are expected to come up with the net zero targets. India has come up with the net zero emission target of 2070, year 2070. And amount, so what is net zero? It's the amount of greenhouse gases being released in atmosphere should be equal to the amount of gases removed from the atmosphere through processes like photosynthesis or physical removal using futuristic technology, right? This is net zero. So you should go into detail India's target for net zero, how they're planning to achieve it. Second, mitigation. So mitigation refers to the reduction of greenhouse gases. The only way to rise in the rise in global temperatures can be halted in long term. How the mitigation of greenhouse gases can be achieved. At Glasgow meet, one of the main discussion was to increase the ambition of mitigation actions. What are those mitigation actions in detail? You should read it. I've not discussed that in detail, but see, my objective is to provide the concise overview of COP26 so that you can go a little further to understand the finer terms or the objectives or the consensus reached, right? Third is NDCs, nationally determined commitments, the nationally determined contributions or targets set by individual countries to fight climate change, right? Of course, India has 3. You should know which 3. India's NDC, increasing proportion of renewable energy in installed electric capacity. India has increased that. Decreasing emissions per unit of GDP and increasing forest cover. These 3, right? But then it has specific details about it. You should be aware about these 3 NDCs which India has. You don't need to know about any other country, only India. Countries have top update their NDCs every 5 years. At Glasgow meet, countries that had not submitted their NDCs for 2020 were asked to do so by 2020. Fourth, adaptation. All the ways in which human beings and others need to adapt to climate change and extreme weather patterns, making agriculture resilient, flood defenses, etc. So this is one of the, again, important takeaway from this conference. At Glasgow meet, developed countries were asked to at least double their contribution for adaptation efforts in the developing world. Yet developed countries. Fifth is climate finance. Now, all the money required to fund the actions needed to fight climate change. Money is needed for mitigation, adaptation, monitor actions countries are taking to keep global temperatures from rising beyond 2 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial times. So at Glasgow Summit, developing countries asked developed countries to mobilize at least US $1.3 trillion every year from 2030 onwards. This is what they've asked. How much it can be met, as the history in the climate finance clearly shows that it has been highly financed, even under Kyoto, even under after Paris Agreement came into till 2020, not even the fractions of what was being asked has been delivered. Even the IPCC sixth assessment report has clearly underlined the need for climate finance. So this is majorly the highlight. Little more in depth you need to go. COP26 is very important for this year prelims. Okay, the next topic which we'll be looking up is World Sustainable Development Summit. Now, the World Sustainable Development Summit is annual flagship event of TERI. So I will just keep writing. So TERI is important. World Sustainable Development Summit, TERI. It was earlier known as Delhi Sustainable Development Summit. Don't confuse. So it was earlier known as Delhi Sustainable Development Summit, instituted in 2000. Sorry. It is the only summit on global issues taking place in the developing world. Objective, it has been conceptualized as single platform to accelerate action towards sustainable development and climate change. It aims to bring together global leaders and thinkers in the field of sustainable development. So sustainable development is the major objective, and single platform to accelerate action towards sustainable development, and also to bring global leaders and thinkers in the field of sustainable development, energy and environment sectors on a common platform. So firstly, what is this TERI? TERI is a non-profit research institute. It's not a government organization. It's a non-profit research institute. It conducts research work in the fields of energy, environment, and sustainable development for India and Global South. It was established in 1974 as Tata Energy Research Institute and renamed to the Energy Resources Institute. The Energy Resources Institute in 2003. What does India stand in World Sustainable Development Summit? Firstly, it is to ask equitable energy access. India has said that it has fulfilled its commitment by ensuring that equitable energy access to poor remains a cornerstone for its environment policy. And through Ujjwala scheme and PM Kusum scheme, they are trying to achieve this. Then reducing emissions, discussed the LED bulbs distribution scheme is Ujala scheme that has been running for over 7 years, that had reportedly saved close to 220 billion units of electricity and prevented 180 billion tons of CO2 emissions per year. See, National Hydrogen Mission also aims to tap into green hydrogen, which we already read earlier, and it was up to the academic and research institutes such as TERI to come up with scalable solutions. Also, one of the stand is to degraded land restoration. India is on track to achieve national commitment of land degradation neutrality under Bonn Challenge. One more point, Bonn Challenge. Read about it. Coordinated action. Sustainability requires coordinated action for the global commons through international solar lines, which we'll read about it later. India aims is one sun, one world, one grid. It also urged countries to act on the basis of globally agreed rules taking. Also, this is one of the very important infrastructure for resilient island nations. The Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, which is CDRI, aims to build strong infrastructure in areas prone to frequent natural disasters. On the lines of COP26, India launched an initiative called Infrastructure IRIS. Remember this, IRIS, Infrastructure for Resilient Island States. On the sidelines, India has started IRIS. So this is so CDRI, IRIS, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. IRIS is initiate infrastructure for resilient island states. Also, India launched Lifestyle for Environment initiative. Is about making lifestyle choices to improve our planet. LIFE will be a coalition of like-minded people across the world who will promote sustainable lifestyles. They will be called 3Ps, pro-planet people. This global movement is the Coalition for Life. So this was it for WSDS, which is World Sustainable Development Summit. Now, earlier we came across a term called carbon capture and storage, which also has been updated further to carbon capture utilization and storage, CCUS. What is that? Let's read about it. It's heavily covered. Even the IPCC reports talk about it. Its importance is continuously being discussed. To achieve net zero emissions, this is very important. So carbon capture, utilization and storage, also referred to as carbon capture, utilization, sequestration, is a process that captures carbon dioxide emissions from sources like coal-fired power plants and either reuses or store it so that it will not enter the atmosphere. Simple. Carbon dioxide storage in geological formations includes oil and gas reservoirs, unminable coal seams, and deep saline reservoirs. So where carbon can be captured and stored. Structures that have stored crude oil earlier, natural gas, brine, and carbon dioxide over millions. So that is where carbon can be captured. This diagram shows that this is the dispersed CO2, but in place of this dispersing, the CO2 which is actually being emitted can be, stored and captured, pond with bacteria, pipelines. It can be transferred in geological formations, deep aquifers, depleted oil gas reservoirs, coal bed methane formations. That is what is being discussed. And also utilization. So it can be used, further carbon-based production, wherever carbon is required, can be used there as well. The narrative around CCS or carbon capture, utilization, and storage technology has been regaining momentum in the Indian and global context in accordance with several countries ambitiously pledging for carbon neutrality, right? Net zero emissions, right? Through CCUS is far becoming mainstream. The government of India and the Indian industry are trying to understand. Till now in India, CCUS has not taken off in a big way. But looking into the future, see where India has created a target for net zero emissions, CCUS might become a very important policy for the government itself. Financial incentives have been growing across the globe to support the exploration and adoption of CCUS. Indian industries and PSUs are leading the way towards promoting CCS facilities while recognizing the need to stay carbon neutral in broader context of sustainability and competitiveness. So this is again simple diagram showing industrial facilities with carbon capture, right? There is no emission taking place, whereas industrial facilities without carbon capture and storage, CO2 is being emitted in the air openly, right? Again, a very important topic for this year in environment is IPCC 6th assessment report. Now, firstly, you need to understand that this 6th assessment report part 1 you came across in August last year also, this year March also, and April also. What is it all about? Why 3 separate things? So as you know, see, the assessment report is by 3 working groups of scientists. There are 3 separate working groups. Working group 1 would dealt with the scientific basis for climate change. Working group 2 looks at the likely impacts, vulnerabilities, and adaptation issues. And working group 3 deals with actions that can be taken to global combat climate change. Now, at various times, these reports, 3 part of 6th assessment report was released. Now, these assessment reports, the first assessment report came out in 1990. Now, why this IPCC? IPCC, first of all, you should know the full name. Intergovernment Panel for Climate Change. It is under United Nations agency, group of scientists working together, preparing scientific reports. And it provides, a deeper understanding for UNFCCC and other UN EP, bodies that take these reports into consideration to further form their policies. Now, are the most comprehensive evaluations. This assessment is the most comprehensive evaluation of state of Earth's climate. Now, every few years, right now here, 7 years, almost after, naturally after 7 years, the reports are released. The IPCC produce assessment reports. The 4 subsequent assessment reports each thousand. So each report is thousands of pages long. Second came in 1995, third in 2001, fourth in 2007. 5th in 2015, and finally 6th assessment report has come now 21-22. These have formed the basis of the global response to the climate change. As I told you, there are 3 working groups of scientists which have come 1, 2, 3. Hence, the 3 separate working groups have released their separate reports separately. What are there are, if you look at, there are thousands of pages. There are so many observations. I've just tried to highlight some important ones. Also, I've tried to highlight the previous assessment reports, major highlights, major what their understanding or what their major objective was. So firstly, temperature. Globally, the planet will, so this is 6th assessment report saying that globally planet will warm up by 1.5 degrees centigrade in the next 2 decades over pre-industrial level. Next 2 decades, it will cross. Even in the most ambitious emissions pathway, even if achieve immediate reduction, drastic reduction, it will still overshoot to 1.6. So in any case, 1.5, keeping it below 1.5 degrees centigrade is now practically impossible. So under existing emission trajectory, total ambition of climate pledges, now whatever the countries have pledged till now, it will be on track for global average temperature rise of at least 2.7 degrees centigrade. So as per the current commitment, there will be 2.7 degrees centigrade rise average temperature by 2100. right? Now there was this one article when the Gulf Stream shut down. Now what happened? The Gulf Stream, a warm current, is expected to weaken but not cease, as per this sixth assessment. This slowdown will affect regional weather and sea level. Now, the Gulf Stream is a part of both horizontal and subtropical gyre and the vertical Atlantic meridional overturning circulation. I see this as a very important topic for this year. AMOC, Atlantic meridional overturning circulation. See, so what is AMOC? Is close to poles, water cools, become heavier and sinks. So just go through it. Climate change will weaken this AMOC, which will slow the Gulf Stream down. Gulf Stream is very important for warming of the oceans and the movement of ocean currents. You should go through this. But other than this, what the report has also said, heat waves and humid heat stress will become more intense and frequent over Southeast Asia during 21st century. Yes, both annual and summer monsoon precipitation will increase with enhanced interannual variability. So there will be so this is with respect to Southeast Asia, that there will be more increase in the intervariability of the increased variability of annual precipitation. Here I would also talk about extreme weather events, which IPCC has talked about, right? Glacier runoff in Asian high mountains will increase up to mid-21st century, and subsequently runoff may decrease due to loss of glacier storage. Relative sea level around Asia increase faster, right? So these are, so as I told, first report was released in 1990. It said that emission. So you can also go through this. What specifically? I'll here specifically go to fifth report. Why? Because that is what Paris Agreement looked into. Temperature rise by 2100 could be 4.8 degree from pre-industrial. That is what fifth assessment report said. Atmospheric concentration of CO2, CH4 and N2O unprecedented in the last 8 lakh years. More frequent and longer heat waves virtually certain. We can already feel the heat nowadays. Large fraction of species face extinction. Absolutely. Form scientific basis for negotiations, as I told, for Paris Agreement. Other reports also, quick summary you can read. IPCC reports, there are so many points. It is pretty hard to cover. Major highlights you can try to supplement further from here. Basically, you should be well aware what is IPCC, what is assessment report, what are working groups, various working groups and why they've come, and what are the major highlights of this report. Any new terminologies you should be well aware. 47 heat dome. See, last year you might have read 2021, there was extreme heat events, weather events, extreme hot weather in the northwestern part of North America. The area which I'm talking about is the border region of the America and Canada on the western side. That is particularly the region of Washington State, Seattle, to the British Columbia State, capital Vancouver. The phenomena which actually happened there was the heat dome. This was a new thing many of you would have come across. Now, heat dome is what? It occurs when the atmosphere traps hot ocean air like a lid or a cap. So like somewhere, suddenly in the atmosphere, it is captured the hot air and there is no way to come out. Now, the occurs when the atmosphere traps hot ocean air like a lid or a cap. So the phenomena, you can read the entire phenomena, but I'll go into the basics first. Heat dome occurs when atmosphere traps hot ocean air like a lid or a cap. As per National Oceanic and Atmospheric, so this is America's organization, a heat dome is created when strong high pressure atmospheric conditions combined with weather patterns like La Nina. Reading it daily, right? La Nina, El Nino. What is La Nina, El Nino? Yeah. They're more likely to form during La Nina years like 2021 when waters are cool in the eastern. So this is La Nina. When the waters are cool in the eastern Pacific and warm in the western Pacific, creating vast areas of sweltering. Heat dome typically lasts a week. So the phenomena is, if you want to read it, what happens in this is in summer jet stream shifts northward, as you know. Hot and stagnant air expands upward, right? Because of, the hot weather. Hot and stagnant air expands upward. Strong and high pressure atmospheric conditions combined with influences from La Nina act like a dome or cap. So because of these two phenomena together, a situation becomes which acts like a dome or a cap, where the heat trapped cannot go up. In a process known as convection. Convection is what? Where the molecules here which are hot will affect the molecules here, and the temperature transfer will happen through, you know continuously. For example, if we start heating, uh, let's say a metal from one side, so through convection actually you'll start feeling the heat on the other side as well. So in a process known as convection, hot air attempts to escape, but high pressure pushes it back down. So through convection, it happens like this. Under the dome, the air sinks and compresses, releasing more heat. As winds move the hot air, the jet stream traps the air when it sinks, resulting in heat. Read it, you'll understand it, but heat dome, a new concept can be asked by UPSC. Okay, this question, World Health Organization Global Air Quality Guidelines. You might think, you've seen it somewhere. 2021 mains paper, which happened in this year's January. Actually, a question came on it about what are the changes which WHO recommended in global air quality guidelines. Around September, October last year, an article came in the newspaper also, and it was actually straight away 10-mark question which was asked by UPSC. Hence, such questions cannot be ignored. Such things can also be asked in pre as well. World Health Organization air quality guidelines serve as a global target for national, regional, and city governments to work towards improving their citizens' health by reducing air pollution. Air pollutants measured include PM 2.5, PM 10, right? The particulate matter 2.5. 2.5 is the micrometer, 10 raised to the minus 6 length. PM 10 is 10 raised to the minus. PM 10 is this is 2.5 into 10 raised to the minus 6. This is 10 raised to the 2.5. So 10 is to 10 raised to the minus 6 is the size of that particulate matter. So this is the finer particle. PM 10 is the little thicker particulate matter. Air pollutions measured include PM 2.5, PM 10. These are the particles with aerodynamic diameter equal or less than 2.5, also called fine, and 10 micrometer respectively. Then ozone is also there, which is measured in nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, and sulfur dioxide. This is what you should know. Now, fine particulate matter can penetrate through lungs and further enter the body through bloodstream, affecting all major organs. Exposure to PM 2.5 can cause diseases both to our cardiovascular and respiratory system, provoking, for example, stroke, lung cancer, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. So these are the the issues with respect to this pollutants. Now, what are the recommendations? This, if actually you could reproduce this in the exam in mains, you could have got good marks. This still UPSC can ask what, PM 2.5 annual 10 was, so this is 24-hour. Majorly the focus has been on this, on 24-hour basis, if you understand. Earlier guidelines, air quality guidelines by WHO said 25 microgram per meter cube PM 2.5 level is good, is fine. Above that, it is not good. So good quality is below 25, but it has been further reduced to 15. Now it is a bigger challenge for, like, say in Delhi NCR in November, December, it can go up to 1000. So to actually reach further, making it below 15, it is practically becoming tough for a city like Delhi, which actually does not have less than 15 in any of the day out of 365 days. PM 10 similarly 24-hour reduced from 50, below 50, which is good, now to 45. Ozone 8-hour 100, it's been kept same. NO2, it's been added. Earlier it wasn't there, so it's been added, and also its annual has been changed. Sulfur dioxide has been halved from 24-hour to 40. It's been doubled from 20 to 40. Carbon monoxide, the data has been added to 4 milligram per meter cube. These you might need to remember because UPSC never know can ask it directly, right? Air quality guidelines, WHO. Remember this. Big guide. Okay, the next topic for today is Global Methane Initiative. Now, what is Global Methane Initiative? Is an international public-private partnership, public-private, PPP, focused on reducing barriers to recovery and use of methane as valuable energy source. As you know, methane is also a very valuable energy, but at the same time, it is a very potent greenhouse gas. Global Methane Initiative provides technical support to deploy methane to energy projects. So when methane can be recovered through certain processes from environment, from other sources, it can be converted to energy projects around the world that enable partner countries to launch methane recovery and use projects, right? Through these efforts, Global Methane Initiative, so the objective is decreasing greenhouse gases emissions, yes, which is talking about improving human health, increasing worker safety, improving air and water quality, enhancing energy security, and expanding economic growth. So Green Methane Initiative advances methane mitigation in three key sectors: oil and gas, biogas, and coal mines. These are one of the biggest emitters of methane: oil and gas, biogas, and coal mines. The initiative currently focuses on 5 sectors, as I was taking. So 3 I have mentioned. Agriculture also. As you know, agriculture is around 15% emission of methane takes place. Rice fields across the country is one of the biggest source of methane gas. Even the livestock sector, the livestock are also the big, area of methane emissions. Coal mining, municipal solid waste, municipal wastewater, oil and gas systems. What is methane? Okay, methane is a greenhouse gas, which is also a component of natural gas. It is also a component of natural gas. There are various sources of methane, including human and natural sources. So the anthropogenic sources are responsible for 60% of global methane. So the human induced, right? It includes landfills, oil and natural gas systems, agricultural activities, coal mining, wastewater treatment, and certain industrial processes. Oil and gas sectors are among the largest contributors to human source of methane. So these emissions come primarily from burning of fossil fuels, decomposition, landfills, and agriculture sector. The emission of methane is a big concern, as it is gas has 25 to 28 times harmful effect than CO2, right? According to UN, 25% of the warming in the world is experiencing today is because of methane. 25%, today's, the greenhouse effect or the heating, you can say, is because of methane. Methane is also the second most abundant greenhouse gas in the atmosphere after CO2. According to IPCC, methane accounts for about 1 degree Celsius net rise in global average temperature since pre-industrial era. This is very important. Very, very important. Right. Now let's come to the last topic of this session. Ken-Betwa River Interlinking Project. As you know, this is one of the flagship projects and the first major interlinking river project in the country. Ken-Betwa. Firstly, you should know their location. It's in the Bundelkhand region where the interlinking will take place. They are tributaries of what? Yamuna. Yamuna tributaries. Here you should know all the tributaries of Yamuna from west to east. And finally, Yamuna merges in Ganga, right? Now the areas are in UP and MP, the region of Bundelkhand. You have this link will be created in the districts of Chhatarpur, Lalitpur, and I think so this is Tikamgarh, right? So even Hamirpur region in and Jhansi region in so this is a very, very important project for government of India, as 18,000 crore will be spent. Ken-Betwa, this project. So Bundelkhand is one of the most, irrigation is one of the biggest issue there. It is a very dry region. It is in UP and it is a very backward region because of this. Hence, government wants to boost this, project Hence, the irrigation can be improved. Drinking water, water for irrigation of crops can be realized. So the Cane Betwa project will transfer surplus water from Cane. Now here it is important. From Cane to Betwa will this transfer happen. Will transfer water from Cane River to Betwa Basin to help irrigate drought-prone Bundelkhand region and adjoining areas. The 230-kilometer concrete canal will pass through Jhansi, Banda, Mahoba districts of UP and Tikamgarh, Panna and Chhatarpur districts of MP. Right? The project will also benefit UP and MP in terms of meeting their irrigation and drinking water needs. Right? Hazards: the project involves deforesting a portion of Panna Tiger Reserve approximately. So these are the hazards. Center has set in motion the process of creating NIRA, National Interlinking Rivers Authority. Very important here, NIRA. So this is also important. It is an independent autonomous body of planning, investigation, financing, and implementation of river interlinking projects in the country. It will replace the existing National Water Development Agency and will function as umbrella body for all river linking projects. So it will be an umbrella body for all river interlinking projects in India. It is to be headed by a Government of India secretary rank officer. The functions of this will be coordinate with neighboring countries and concerned states and departments, and will have the powers on issues related to environment, wildlife, and forest clearances under river linking projects. It will have the power to raise funds and act as a repository of borrowed funds or money received on deposit or loan or given on interest. It will also have the power to set up a special purpose vehicle for individual link projects. These 10 topics very important for this year pre. Just go through it again thoroughly and try to revise it, and these topics will surely help you in this year prelims. Thank you again for watching today's session, and I'll be coming up with the next session very soon. Thank you so much.